I'm Mara Webster with In Creative Company, and I'm so thrilled today to be joined by some of the cast members from Netflix's Space Force. We are joined today by Ben Schwartz, Jimmy O Yang, Tawny Newsome, and Diana Silvers. And Ben, I wanted to start with a question for you about your character's relationship with success and failure, because he's a character who, has had some successes in his career prior to Space Force, but also clearly some failures. And was interested in how that drives a lot of motivations and choices for the character and for your performance, particularly with his over exuberance of confidence sometimes being a mask for that.
What an incredible question to start this off. What an actual great question from someone who's watched the show.
It's too good of a question. We're
I
tired.
know.
It's a lot.
Webster, how dare you? I love that question. That's a huge drive for what the character of Tony kind of is about, because you could see like he's always trying to impress his dad in this season. You could see that he really wants to show people that he's good at his job, just because, like maybe he plays things that he's bigger than he actually is. But in the end, he really does want to impress. He looks at Carell's character as a father figure. So I think failure is a huge aspect of how he pushes himself. In the past, he's had different jobs and he's been fired from different jobs. And he sees this one at the beginning, maybe is like, I don't know if this is important. Like, I don't know if this is exciting as working socials for something else, but his failures in the past are making it be like, this is the last resort. We got to nail this one. And then he starts to look up to all these people that are on the Zoom right now, to Jimmy, to Diana, to Tawny, and he wants to show them he's good at this. So it's a huge drive for the whole thing. And I can't tell you how happy I am. And I don't think we'll ever get that question again.
And Jimmy, I wanted to talk about you jumping into the writer's room for this season and also writing episode 203, because it's not just about, writing to the voice of the show. It's also about bringing your comedic sensibility into the show, your ideas and creative concepts, but also you have the gift of writing on a show that you've been in for a season. You've been working with the rest of the cast and you've seen how they play to their characters and what their strengths are. And so what are the things that you were really excited to be able to write into the show with all of that in mind?
Equally great question.
I can't believe this.
I don't know if my little brain can handle that.
Out of control.
Oh my God. No, I mean, it was an opportunity of a lifetime that was blessed by the pandemic, more or less, because I don't think I would have been able to spend 24 weeks in a writer's room. Well, this is on Zoom with the greats, if I was shooting something else, so this was the perfect pandemic masterclass for me, working with Greg Daniels, Norm Hiscock, Steve Carell every day. I think my Zoom is, I would say, better than most people's Zoom. So that was exhilarating just to learn from these greats. And for me, yeah, sure. Every actor wants to write something funny for themselves. But I think knowing these guys well now from season one and knowing everyone is so talented, just writing to everyone's comedic strength, and then really developing those relationships that we saw in season one. Not just the romantic relationship possibly with me and Tawny's character, but also the friendship between me and Ben, and of course, Diana's character and Steve's father and daughter relationship. Just so seeing all of that shine, especially season two, it's more of a ensemble comedy with all of us interacting with each other, instead of every episode fighting something and an outside force. That was really fun to write to, just the growth of each character. We had many weeks, many days of just discussing what makes this character funny, and let's write to that strength. So it was a nice experience for me. It was a masterclass for me, and it was just great to be able to service these great castmates of mine.
I really love that. And Tawny, with your character throughout the second season, she's not really in a great place following her expedition to the moon. And I was interested in how you found the different ways that she tries to express herself when she's unable to communicate how she's feeling, because there's such a myriad of ways that you get to play with that. We learn that she loves drumming, and that becomes one form of expression. And even particularly her relationship with Chan, with Jimmy's character, also the way that she is kind of interacting with him, and a lot of their relationship dynamic comes from her not being able to talk about these things out loud with anybody as well. And so how did you kind of approach finding the different facets of that?
Wow, Mara, you're 3 for 3. Just Got to applaud these questions. Too good.
For the next one.
Yeah, I know. Gosh, you're hitting 1,000. Is that the phrase? Yeah, that's interesting. Talking about how she communicates when she feels she can't communicate. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a more brain scrambling thing than going to outer space. I can't even fathom. I get a lot of like fans and people asking, would you ever go if you could like get on a rocket? And the answer is absolutely not. That seems insane. So she's already a very different person from me, and so it was interesting. Like I'm very direct and I don't have trouble communicating in most settings. So it was interesting to play this person who has done this incredible, adventure, this incredibly heroic thing, but yet has trouble expressing, hey, I just want a casual relationship, or hey, I don't want to, move up in the ranks in Space Force. I want to, to not be able to express those very basic wants and needs, yet she's able to pilot a rocket to the moon. I was kind of like, who is this person? And what I sort of landed on is that, someone who, I have to imagine that someone who decides to join the military is okay with a certain autonomy being, sort of taken away from them, or okay kind of donating that away in service of something greater. So I imagine that this is someone who just never placed a ton of importance on her own like direct communication. And it's not that she doesn't have those thoughts, but it's just that she was never asked. When you're in basic training, you're not really asked what you want or what's going to make you the most comfortable. So she kind of has these nonverbal outlets. At least that's what I think I was doing. Who knows? Sometimes I was just trying to make sure my drums sounded good and I was saying the jokes.
And Diana, one of the things that was really fun to watch with your character in the first season is those moments where she was acting out, because it was coming from such a place of just wanting people to see her properly, to feel acknowledged and to feel included. And in the second season, we really get to see her have those opportunities. She gets an internship at Space Force, gets to kind of be part of the inner bubble a little bit more. And her dad even drunkenly tells her how proud he is of her, which is something she's been striving for as well. And so between the fact that she's kind of getting some of the things that she's really been pushing for and wanting internally, and the fact that she's also at that precipice of an age where she's really kind of growing as a person so consistently, how did that allow you to find a lot of shifts and evolutions within her as a character this season?
Geez, you're really selling me on Erin. I think, sorry. I don't know. It's like it's how do you tell a coming of age of a teenager on such a small scale in a short amount of time when and not as like the main protagonist. I feel like that is like, for me, I think that's what me and Ken talked about a lot. It's just like, how do we show this person finding her place in the world finding a purpose for Erin outside of other people, I guess, and Erin trying to figure out her purpose outside of serving other people. And I think that's what's special with her interning and trying out different roles, and then ultimately kind of saying, actually, I don't want any of this. There's something else I want to do that's entirely different. And I want to explore that. And I think that's a lot of, there's different coming of ages in life. And definitely when you're a teenager, it holds more weight because everything kind of feels like life or death with the heightened hormones and emotions and stuff. And Ken was really great. And Steve is the best scene partner. So it was really, it was really fun to explore these different things and be back in high school as a 20 something.
And Ben and Diana, one of the scenes in the second season that I wanted to ask you both about is the moment where, Space Force has been hacked and security has been compromised. And so Steve Carell's character comes up with the idea of, well, why don't we mislead the hackers by writing a script and making them think something different? Because that was something where you really kind of got to go all in on the comedy. You have Erin just kind of being very playful with herself. And then, Ben, your character, the fact that he's even lip syncing along to the other character's lines and going full in. Just interested in how you found the comedic tones of that scene in particular.
For me, first of all, one of the highlights of that is watching John Malkovich pretend he's a bad actor is one of my favorite things in the world. Watching quite possibly one of the best actors of all time be bad at acting purposely was amazing. That was super fun because it was like, the idea of playing our characters, but playing our characters attempting to do something that they're not very good at, and something that all of us on the Zoom have been doing for decades now. It was super fun. I tried to treat it as that lip sync. I'm happy that lip sync came in because I've been with people before who when they get really excited about something they wrote or something that they're really nervous about, they lip along with what everybody else is saying until it gets to their lines and they do it. So I was like, oh, that might be funny because I've seen that before. But it was super fun. And I think that Norm Hiscock and Greg and Ken gave us room to play way more in this season. So this season, the idea that we're bringing more comedy, we're bringing more of the ensemble and stuff like that. And I think that's a perfect scene to kind of highlight all of those things. Also, Diana gets to play with all of us now. Before it was like Diana was, it had a family side, and then now she gets to play with all of us. So it truly is like a true, like, get all these very talented people in a room and get great words in front of them. And we kind of get to soar a bit.
Yeah. Was that a similar scope for you, Diana, in that particular scene?
Yeah, I remember just on the day laughing so much. There were all these funny props, and Don Lake was doing all these funny things with props. And
oh my God, that
like
was so funny.
Yeah, I wish they had left in the "Come on, man," but they cut some of the. There were some moments that I think both Ben and I were laughing about on our drives, home at the end of the day. And we referenced the next day on set that didn't make it into the cut, which is, it's how the cookie crumbles. But I just remember on the actual day having the most fun, and it was really hard to not break that day because you have all these legendary actors and masters of improv just going for it, and it's like, how do you stay in it when it's all you want to do is laugh? It was a really fun day.
And Tawny and Jimmy, there's so many great different levels and layers that the two of you get to play off of with one another this season. It's everything from kind of the full comedic connection to the really romantic moment, to the moment where they're having to be very earnest and open with each other when they're stuck in an elevator that's broken down. And so how did you feel that the writing in particular and the dynamic that you got to play to in this season really allowed for a lot of different explorations of emotion between your two characters?
Wow, 5 for 5. This is batting 1,000, Tawny. It's not hitting 1,000, but we'll take it.
I don't know sports.
It was, much to the credit of Greg and Norm, we really wrote out the whole arc. I just came off the rom-com Love Heart, so I knew, okay, these are the moments we need to find in a rom-com for me as an actor and a writer. So we really mapped it out. Tawny's character, my character, we had our own movie that just woven into the season, and each episode was a certain high or low and a certain place, which I just love. There's so much for us to do from us. I don't want to give away too much, but like you said, the romantic stuff to the jealousy to you just go through the whole emotion, and it was so fun. And Tawny, of course, is a great scene partner. And once again, shout out to Ken Quappas, our wonderful director, directed all 7 episodes this year. And usually you don't get that luxury in TV, one director directing the whole season. So he gets it. He gets the whole arc. He's not just directing his episode, and he gets the entire story. And he was keeping us on track on like what just happened before this scene between the two and what just happened after. And it just filled in the whole picture, for the story. So if you just cut out the scenes of me and Tawny, you almost have an episode out of itself of this great rom-com that's happening.
I did do that, and I have it available if anyone would like to watch just the Tawny and Jimmy supercut.
Yes,
that's something I did. So you're welcome.
It's unbelievable. Tawny's incredible at editing, by the way.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm going to be an editor when this dries up. I agree with everything Jimmy said. It was really great to have Ken kind of tracking things so that, doing this big block shooting, sometimes your brain is just a little mixed up. And so to be able to go to him and say like, wait, am I mad at him? Are we okay now? What's going on? Because it was kind of delicate and sort of nuanced. It wasn't like, I think if you do look at that super cut of our scenes, you're not going to see a traditional rom-com either. It's like there's very subtle changes. I keep going back to this woman went to the moon and she's dating the guy who helped her go to the moon. That's not a normal meet cute. So I think the writers, Jimmy included, did a great job of honoring just how kind of strange it is and how these people might behave with all these heightened emotions. I also felt like a lot more of of us was in the dialogue. I think we had more room to play this year. Just the nature of how we were shooting meant that all of us got to riff and play and be a little looser. Last year was very big. The setups were so huge that I'm usually in a helicopter or in a rocket or on wires or something. So there wasn't a lot of time to like joke around or do alts. And this year things just were a little more contained, which I think let the comedy breathe better.
Absolutely.
And with kind of the comedy coming together on this show overall, it always sounds like there's moments that really need to stay specific to the script, and that there's also a lot of moments like the scene that the two of you were talking about, Ben and Diana, where there really is a lot of opportunity to do alts, to riff around and to try different things. And I was interested for all of you in how working on a show that really embraces improv in that way, even down to the fact that auditions for the show included an improv setup after reading the lines, really helps you in terms of discovery of character and just that opportunity when you step onto a new show to try different things and really have that journey of discovery in a different way.
Yeah, I think it helps you shade your character. Diana, go. Sorry, keep going. I'm sorry.
So, yeah, I was just going to say, I think once you start to actually think like the character and speak like the character, I think what Ben was going to say is it helps you shape them more, because you're just thinking as them and you can talk as them in a scene. And then all of a sudden it's not like, oh, what are my lines? It's just like, oh, how does this character think and feel? And like, how do they move through the world?
She nailed
For
it.
me.
She crushed it.
That was it. Ben, she said
no.
what you...
I got no notes. It was perfect. I mean, this has been a perfect interview. I don't know what's going to happen to end it. The lightning is going to strike right now. Is it Mara or Mara?
Mara.
Mara, you're unbelievably prepared, and thank you for all of this. Sorry, Tawny.
No. I was just going to say that I do have some ways that I could ruin it if you want to just shake things up.
Oh, yeah. Well, by the way, and Tawny has edits of different parts of the show that she's done by herself if you want to see that. Like,
I'm going to cut Blake. Yeah, I'm going to cut stuff into this interview of just like me on a horse, just some fun stuff. Shake it up. No pressure.
This is great. Mara, you're getting the real sweets now. This is Tawny doing what Tawny does.
And then lastly, I was just kind of interested in the ways that some of you may have in terms of tracking character details. Obviously, when you're working on a show, you're always shooting things out of order. There's a lot to kind of tracking and keep in your head at the same time. And I know that like John Malkovich has his binder with tabs and scented markers. Interested in what kind of methods you've all found that really work for you.
I learned that from John. I mean, I'm like, I'm going to do everything John is doing. If he's holding the whole 7 episode script with tab, I better do that, so that really helped. And being in the writer's room, like, it really helped. Or else I would have been, I think, very confused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember my first movie, I had a binder with the tabs and the highlighters and like notes everywhere, and everyone called me a nerd. And then John Malkovich did it too, and I was like, I am merely prepared. Like, I'm like, if John Malkovich does it, then I'm no nerd.
I had all my things in iPad with all the episodes, and kind of what I did was I kind of try to memorize not fully, but like have all of it kind of in my head somewhere. And then when the week came up before the thing, but man, so everything's on my little iPad. But it's like, it is very exciting to watch how John Malkovich works, and then watch Jimmy and Diana start holding a toothpick like he does and start wearing his custom clothes and then talk about Steppenwolf a lot. It's very exciting. And I believe, and tell me if this is wrong, the way Tawny memorizes all of her lines is she edits together different lines of dialogue from different movies that ultimately make those sentences. So and apologize. Please tell me your process, Tawny. Please.
She has a super cut of different movies. on her iPad.
So it'll be like Pacino and then like Reese Witherspoon, and it'll be like
in the same take, Tawny.
Yeah. I cut them all together. I love to edit. Is what I want the takeaway from this interview to be. Is that I love to edit.
This is a good time to plug a Final Cut. You said you want to plug Final Cut.
Yeah, I actually just wanted to plug iMovie. This might be my best work.
Yes.
No, but truthfully, season 1, I feel like Ben used to make fun of me because I was a little cavalier about the lines, and I would just kind of like, we read them at the table read. Because we would have table reads. This was pre-COVID, so we had like in-person reads, and then I'd read it like if there were any changes that came to my email, I'd read it like the night before. But really, I'd memorize in the makeup chair because I've always been like a kind of a quick study. And I started to feel like, oh no, am I not like taking this seriously enough? But I feel like I'm always fine. And Ben was like astounded. And then season 2 came around, and I realize we hear from Angela so much more in season 2. Like season 1, she's pretty stoic. She's a soldier. Her dialogue is more limited. And season 2, I was like, I talk more. So I need to study these harder. So I developed a process that I've never done for any other role of memorization, where I would like run the lines with a friend. Isn't that novel? 10 years in the business.
To Tawny's credit, she has a superhero power of, like, I couldn't do, my anxiety wouldn't allow me to do it. She can look at something and 2 minutes later she knows it. I can't. I have to look at it and like it takes me a bit. Tawny's just able to do this skill set that very few people have.
I have to like write my lines down like 10 times.
I like that. That's cool.
Well, if I don't have someone to help me memorize lines, and I have to like I write them down. I don't know. It's like I treat it like I'm studying it for a test.
Wow.
Well, I honestly think it's an anxiety thing. I'm like, if I'm not memorized, the whole thing's it's just, doing a play, you have like everything memorized before you even start. So I just have to like have it all like then the week before, the week of, or like that weekend before the week of work. It's like I write everything down like 20 times, like a crazy, like honestly, like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. It's really nice.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of these details. Congratulations on a great second season, and really appreciate it.
Great job, Mara. You're great at your job.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.